To the normal player, 100%ing Minecraft might be to get every advancement. But for me, I see it as so much more. Like riding a supersonic pig to the corner of the Farlands, tearing through the world for limitless diamonds, and even manipulating the game's very code to force hundreds of thousands of skeleton horses to spawn wherever I want them. In this video, you'll see just how far a single survival world can be taken with hours and hours sunk in. So with all that out of the way, enjoy the first 3 years of 100% Minecraft. But every great world starts somewhere, with absolutely nothing and a whole new world to explore. We're all the way back in August of 2023, where I started my world with the goal of first killing the Ender Dragon, a task I've completed many times before. I did also have plenty of other goals and challenges in mind, however they required me to have maxed out gear and a base of operations, so I continued to speedrun the game and obtain the best item in the game on only day 1. Using Chunk Base, I next located a village nearby and over the course of a few days set up a base with 2 single cell iron farms, a village breeder, and a trading hall with almost every trade I'd ever need. From here, it was time to turn to the master spreadsheet, the central place of everything to do with this world. With it, I decided on my first goal to officially start my journey to 100% the game. After getting set up, the first task to tackle was to mine 30,000 diamonds for collecting the armor trim combinations that I needed later down the line. For this I had several methods backed up, with each getting progressively harder as we go on. So with not wanting to waste any time, I got straight to work, getting a haste 2 beacon and starting a simple mine to test its viability. Okay, so I'm going to set my beacon up down here and mine for an hour to see how many we can get. Ideally, the average should be about 1,000 per hour for anything to really be worth it. Unfortunately, the beacon mine was too slow. So slow in fact that I would need to spend 20 hours mining until I even got 10% of my diamonds. So I moved on to the next method. What you're seeing here is a TNT tunnel bore, allowing me to plow through terrain and get all the diamonds I would need. It first starts with the TNT modules themselves, where they all get connected through more flying machines and in the main engine. This is also a good time to inform you guys about some rules of the world, one of which being duping. I refuse to use any type of duping in this world, apart from TNT. The reason I'm okay with it is because, in my opinion, it opens up a whole new part of the game to play, instead of cutting corners like other duping glitches. So with that out the way, I built the simple Ianxofour mob switch, and got some farms together to start building the tunnel bore. So enjoy the time lapse. After spending over 100 hours boring diamonds, I gave up, as I realized it was still too slow. This led to my discovery of the Infinibore, the ultimate mining machine, which tears through terrain like butter, dropping thousands upon thousands of diamonds that are free for the taking. This was the perfect solution for what I needed, and could allow me to get every diamond I needed in only 20 hours. The problem though is that this machine was incredibly resource hungry, needing over 500 minecarts and tens of shulkers of other resources to build the machine. On top of this, the Infinibore was also very complex, even blowing up if a single value was wrong or misinput. This was the final method I had to get diamonds. In order to keep up with this challenge, I needed it to work, no matter the cost. Okay, let's see if it worked. It blew up. Okay, I'm gonna go to backup and try again. Really? Again? Am I not loading it correctly? Whoa! Why does it keep doing this? No! 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 It's just like killing my world. It's just like I actually can't do anything. Like, look at this! Bro, if I can't even get this machine working, how am I gonna get anything working from now on? It only gets more difficult. Like, the further I get into this challenge, the more and more complex it gets. Like, am I even, like, qualified for this? But eventually, I lost the will to keep trying. I can't do this anymore. The machine had beat me. I couldn't get it working. Again and again, it would just continue to blow up. So without any other option, I quit. 100% Minecraft was no more. I'm gonna approach it from this side for less lag. Oh my gosh, it worked. There's no flipping way. Wait, how long is this tunnel? No, I actually can't believe this. There's no way. Finally, after many months of troubleshooting the Infinibore, I had got it to work, of which I was incredibly proud of myself for figuring out. As well as proud though, I was scared. Scared of what lay ahead. The Infinibore was merely a mouse to a cat compared to what was next. Redstone behemoths capable of many things, even to the point of predicting and controlling the internal random number generator. But for now, I stayed to the task at hand. I have ripped a 20,000 block long tunnel through my world, with all the diamonds I need ready to pick up. So I filtered my inventory, grabbed some food, and prepared for the 40 plus hours of picking up diamonds. To be able to navigate the tunnel without getting lost or checking somewhere more than once, I turned on chunk borders and followed them in rows to make sure I covered every part of the tunnel. Whilst exploring, I also found some pretty wacky stuff, some of which being multiple deep slate emerald and coal ore, which was more common in this version, something I call the underground prismarine deposit, which was just an ocean monument leg. I also found multiple dolphins, which kept going into lazy chunks and freezing, which was honestly really funny. This is actually the same mechanics the Infinibore uses to accelerate the TNT, the more you know. But everything wasn't perfect. When I was close to finishing the tunnel, Mojang released a new snapshot containing 2 new armor trims, Bolt and Flow. Trims which would inflate my needed diamonds to almost 31,000, an amount that my tunnel could not support. On top of this meant Mojang was all up for adding more trims later down the line, which was eventually proven to be somewhat true when resin and copper armor was added. This left only one more option: to build the new design of the Infinibore and collect so many diamonds that it would keep me in the game for many years to come. So with my motivation at its peak, I got to building the faster and better Infinibore under a large portion of uninterrupted land and started to charge it. This new design had some added features that made it easier and nicer to use too. On top of being faster overall, it has multiple vertical alignments and a rangefinder that lets you continue an operation from the end of the tunnel, which could save me from building yet another machine if I needed more diamonds in the future. I was over 70 hours into charging the bore when it all went black. My computer ran out of storage and the world had shut down. I knew that upon relog the machine would blow up, that was a given, but there was a chance that the TNT had still been saved in the tunnel. But all I could do at 1 in the morning was fly over and check.
No way, it actually worked. We can just go and like mine all the diamonds now, or collect them.
I now had over 30,000 diamonds and thousands more in the tunnel still, which meant I could finally complete this part of the challenge. With the diamonds now complete, I started work on preparing my world for the biggest and most important project yet. Every single illegal item to ever exist. In Minecraft. You see, to collect every illegal item, one must downgrade their world to earlier versions of the game to collect various blocks, items, and entities that can no longer be created in the current version. Doing this though, comes with serious risks. If I'm not careful, I could corrupt my world, potentially destroy all of the diamonds, and even make it downright unplayable. So I came up with a plan. Unlike with the diamond mining where I tested the different methods on the fly, I needed this whole operation to go flawlessly on the first attempt. The first step of this multi-stage plan was to prepare my world for the initial downgrade. One of these things is noting down important coordinate areas to stay clear of, like my base, to avoid them getting completely deleted by the old versions, since they don't recognize the new blocks and the world format. You don't need to understand what I mean here, but basically when I'm in old versions, I need to remain in fresh areas of the world to protect my past work. Clearing important items from the spawn chunks was also necessary, as this area is always loaded by the game, and so is guaranteed to be reset. This is why we're getting the illegal items now, so that it won't reset anything for when we eventually build more here. After that, I reset my spawn point and cleared my inventory and ender chest to initiate the downgrade and enter a version released all the way back in 2010. At this point it was September of 2024, just over a year since starting the whole challenge. But we're now all the way back in beta of 1.6 test build 3, the earliest of all the versions we have to visit. In this version, 11 bonus chests generate your world spawn. However, these aren't regular chests, as they contain at least one stack of each item in the game at this point. From these items I took the half bed, both waters and lavas, the double stone slab, fire, farmland, lit furnace, standing sign, half door, lit redstone ore, stacked cakes, nether portal, and powered redstone torches, and powered repeaters. I left the remaining items on the ground, which included regular items such as diamonds or wood, and illegal items that I can get in more interesting ways. A good example of this is bedrock or mob spawners. After organizing my items into a chest, I set out in the exact opposite direction of my stash of diamonds. Because remember, if I load in that area at all, they were all gone, including my dragon egg. And it's because of that, for this part of the challenge, we need a new base. So with that perfect start, I killed some sheep to craft the bed to officially end day 1. Whoa. What? Well, it's a good thing this isn't a hardcore world, but if you can't tell, the beta versions are ruthless, as you can't sleep, you can't sprint, or even crouch. Okay, you can crouch, but it's basically pointless. Look, I fall when I uncrouch here, like, nobody is speedrunning with this. So with that death sending me all the way back to spawn, I decided to take all the items I had left and bring them over to the base site. This did take a couple of trips where I tried to make it as fast as possible, like walking at 45-degree angles, death resetting, and swimming as little as possible, if you can even call it that. Also ignore these ore blocks, you'll see why we need them later, don't worry. I then upgraded to beta 1.7, which is a little bit more stable than test build 3. Then I went mining to collect some basic resources, being lots of cobblestone, iron, and the odd diamond. I found that armor wasn't as important as the durability only gave me like 5 hits, so I put the iron to work gathering dust in the chests instead. The next version I went to was beta 1.8.1. In this version we need to collect our first legal entities, being endermen, holding blocks they don't normally hold. To be able to do this though, we need a lot of cobblestone. So to kill 2 birds with 1 cobblestone, I mined out an area for slimes to spawn a y=12 with holes in the ceiling. Since I can't stop endermen from despawning in this version of the game, I have to go far out and create a storage facility of sorts, and then leave through the nether to unload the endermen. So I entered the nether to start bridging. When I thought I'd gone far enough out, I built another portal and decided to build my catcher to collect the endermen safely. Yes, I know it looks awful, but looks are not what we're going for right now. I then spent the next few weeks on and off gathering endermen while working on other videos. I also decided to move these blocks we got from the debug chest over to the enderman. The reason we kept them is because they aren't actually obtainable in the game yet, as Silk Touch or any other enchantment for that matter don't exist. But eventually after some time, I got a few endermen into the catcher safely. But they seemed to die or despawn somehow. So I decided that this was going to have to unfortunately be one of the few illegal items I was going to have to skip, as I needed 30 of them there at once and couldn't keep 2 after a couple of weeks. Maybe I'll go back for them someday, but that will not be soon. Next up were some of the easier ones. In beta 1.9 pre-release 3-1, I simply jumped into lava to respawn with a stack of bookshelves, enchantment tables, end portal frames, and end portals themselves. It's quite funny too, when you hover your mouse over the end portal, it actually triggers a crash, so you have to do this weird thing to put it into a chest. Also, don't worry, I didn't keep the bookshelves or enchantment tables or any of the ore blocks from earlier, I just burned them. After that nice burst of progress, I moved on to the last illegal item in this version. When you enchant anything in this version, it gives you the enchanted enchantment instead of a normal one. But when you update to any later version, this actually becomes Feather Falling 1, meaning this allows you to get Feather Falling 1 on any piece of gear in the game. This meant that you could also get Feather Falling 4 on any piece of gear in the game. You see where I'm going? To get anything to level 4, we need 8 copies of level 1 because of the way things combine together. Meaning for just diamond armor, we need a total of 160 diamonds, which might I add are a lot more difficult to get here. But there's also the tools, other materials like iron and gold, misc items like shears, flint and steels, and even a spare copy of everything diamond to later upgrade it to netherite. And remember, I refuse to dupe any items. So it looked like I had a long mining session ahead of me, but don't worry, I'll speed it up for you. After a few months, I had not only mined all the resources I needed, but also enchanted it all in the zombie spawner I found nearby. You might also notice the base looks different. That's because strip mining for 3 months is incredibly boring, and even a non-builder like myself wants to do anything but keep mining. Luckily though, we are very close to getting out the beta versions and into the full release soon. All that's left is a few simple ones, which I'll cover quickly. The first thing I did in pre-release 4 was downgrade back to pre-1, a few hundred blocks away from my base to avoid corruption, and jumped for 10 minutes to get over 200 levels using a bug. I'm sorry, I've spent tens of hours in the zombie spawner, I can't do it anymore. I then upgraded back to pre-4 and started enchanting a pickaxe in the enchantment table until Fortune 3 and Silk Touch 1. Not only is this an illegal item itself, but the Silk Touch enchantment could allow me to gather mob spawners I found when strip mining, and infested stone from a stronghold. From here it was on to pre-5 for the final beta version we will be visiting. In this version I got some chests with blocks on top of them and to the side that they can't normally have. Although I can't place them directly, this wasn't too hard as I could use this technique to place them. Vines were a little bit annoying, but in the end I just placed some torches next to them to stop it growing. I also managed to make the bottom half an iron door by growing a tree in the top half. I did also have the half door items, but this is cool, okay? Let me have my moment. One of the cooler blocks I had was water in the nether, which I just got with melting ice. Finally, the last illegal item in the betas was also really easy, crafting regular slabs for the petrified oak slabs. It's basically a stone one that just looks like a wood one. From here we were into the full release of the game, where things were more stable for the most part. I did run into a bit of trouble upgrading world formats to be able to play past beta, but for the video's sake I won't be explaining it here. The first snapshot I loaded into after leaving beta was 12W21B, the first 2 illegal villager trades. To do this, I actually had to find a village though. Luckily there was one a few hundred blocks away from my base. Then I built this really old villager breeder design with doors to lure them to the middle area. You see, villagers work differently here. Instead of changing their profession like they do nowadays, once a villager is born with a profession type, it stays like that for the rest of its life. So because of this, I then waited for cleric villagers to breed and got one with high rotten flesh to emerald ratio and one that will buy Eyes of Ender, which is kinda useless, but sometimes that's what you need to do for the 100%. Next up was one of my favorites, the Ender Dragon farm, providing 1.7 million XP per hour by recycling the death animation. This is a good time to tell you guys that all the different farm designs and stuff like that are all credited in the description. There are just so many to be able to put in the video. Then to the end, I placed some end portal blocks we got earlier in my base for fast travel and lured the Ender Dragon to the opposite side of the end island to trap it and unload the chunks. The slime for 2 sticky pistons was obtained from the slime farm we set up many months ago, while the ice was gathered with the silk touch and fortune pickaxe. With the farm now built, the only thing left to do is to actually get the dragon in there. So I went to where I had left the dragon and began the fight to eliminate all the end crystals and get the dragon to 1-hit range. Getting the dragon actually into the farm itself proved to be harder than I'd first thought. Normally, you'd make use of boats and an auto-clicker to travel at a really fast speed to outrun the dragon and keep it loaded. However, when I tried this, the boats constantly kicked me out into the void, so reluctantly, I decided to leave the dragon farm until this bug was fixed. After that, I upgraded to 12W41A, first version where anvils were added to rename a few common and few illegal items to have no name attached to them. 12W49A was also similar, except I could put one enchantment on any item in the game. Though that I didn't spend years in this one version, I chose to only do a few items, getting Carved Pumpkin with Aqua Affinity, Feather with Sharpness, and Wheat with Protection. The next thing we need to do is to get 66 plus 1 villagers, with each having trades that we can't get in the future. So I made a new, faster villager breeder and a spot to store my villagers, including the 2 fellas from before. Unfortunately, I can't time-lapse this since replay mod doesn't exist for 1.4.7, but I do have all the footage from everything I've ever recorded on this world, so for all you people saying it's fake, it's not. I'll just post the proof when I can be bothered. Anyway, after finally getting all 68 -1 trades, I upgraded twice to 13W01A and 13W06A-1 for nether-powered daylight sensors and spawner minecarts respectively. Spawner minecarts were OP by the way, they single-handedly carried all of my food problems by spawning loads of pigs. I thought that the boat glitch now had surely been fixed, so I went back to the end to test, but I was wrong. How was I going to get the dragon into the farm now? I tested speed potions, ender pearls, and even minecart tracks, but to no avail. How could I get any faster? I was using the fastest modes of transportation in the game at this point, and the dragon was still too fast. I was at a dead end. Until... You see, there is one more type of transportation I have yet to try that could potentially be faster than the dragon itself. I'm of course talking about the piston bolt, one of the technical Minecraft community's finest inventions, where it's often used to travel around big tech servers. However, I could also use it here, you know, to run from the Ender Dragon. It works by pushing the minecart along these curved tracks, snapping them to the adjacent rail multiple times per second, resulting in a rapid increase of speed. So I got the materials together and built the piston bolt going from the spawn platform all the way to the killing mechanism. All that was left to do was now finally get the Ender Dragon into the farm. Come on. No! Oh my days. Nah. Wait, that worked. That just saved me the entire thing. I think that was it. I think I did it. Maybe. Now that I had the dragon farm fully built and constructed, I AFK'd the farm for around 10 minutes for a few hundred levels XP. It works by recycling the dragon's death animation and unloading it before it finishes dying and starting the animation again, allowing it to keep dropping thousands and thousands of XP every single time. This meant that I could finally make maxed out diamond armor. So with the new motivation, I started on checking off some of the easy illegal items to eventually come to one of the craziest machines I've ever constructed. In 13W38B, I collected the air item by killing some of the leftover villagers. Don't ask why the villagers have it. Then I went to 14W02A to get the last two funky villagers for a while. A villager buying ender pearls and one that trades pumpkins that we have to store in unloaded chunks till later. We also get a zombie with leggings and boots, and a normal skeleton to store those in unloaded chunks as well. These will later become dual wielding and weaponless variants when mobs' inventory formats change. Unstable TNT was next, which also needed to be in unloaded chunks. Very common theme in this version. If you've never heard of this block, I don't blame you. It's TNT with the unstable tag set to true, meaning that if you break it, instead of dropping the block, it will light. We obtain this by doing this setup with an arrow, which triggers a process known as block transmutation. Also, I have future plans regarding this block that will be in the far future in another video, but that's not for now. Next was one I've been looking forward to for a very long time, the Killer Bunny. See, in 14W27A, the Killer Bunny normally has a 1 in 1,000 chance of spawning when a normal rabbit attempts to spawn. However, there's an easier method. When you first load new chunks in your world, the mobs that generate with the terrain are seed dependent. This means that they will always be there, even in separate copies of the world. So I used the Killer Bunny Finder program that will tell me regions that one could spawn if I gave it the world seed. So I went to the coordinates and found a few killer bunnies that spawned in rabbit packs. These are also renewable if you breed them, by the way, like in new versions. I then updated to 15W31B to collect the dragon egg and the now broken dragon farm, generating a second exit portal in the wrong spot. I then built a creeper face out of clay to respawn the dragon. This is before the end crystal method was added, and more importantly, allows me to get another dragon egg, which is technically illegal as I don't use gravity duping. While I was here, I also got the stationary dragon fireball by relogging the game. In 15W33C, I got an armor stand and a minecart before going to collect 3 wither skulls and spawn the wither. When I was in the fortress, I got stationary ghast and blaze fireballs. This is achieved by unloading and reloading them, which causes them to lose speed. Relogging also gets the same result though, so every time I would hear a ghast fire at me, I would simply relog and it would freeze in place. With 3 projectiles of 5 frozen, I spawned the wither to get the regular and blue skulls frozen in the air. I also got a beacon from this, which is cool. Although it's not illegal, I do need it in a few versions of time. I then travelled to the outer islands to find an end city with a floating ship. Here I found a hopper containing a BrEd book signed by Serge. The solution was a hopper, for those who know. This allowed me to copy it to get the copy of original, copy of a copy, and of course the original. 15W35A was a fun one. All zombies spawn with the no AI tag set to true, which basically means they have no brain. So I made sure to get all types of them, being multiple of the regular zombie villagers, zombie pigmen, and their baby variants. I also went back to the outer islands to find a new end city, as this is the first time I could get Elytra. Although they weren't of any use right now, this would be a game changer in just a few updates. The next thing to do on the list was 15W41A, getting oversized mobs and boats. I respawned the Ender Dragon again and placed a boat on top of the end fountain and waited for it to perch. When it did, it was trapped in the boat and unable to move. The dragon wasn't the only mob I had to get in a boat though. The Elder Guardian was what I planned next, which did not take me an hour to get. On my way back, I got a squid into a boat as well, and then waited for a thunderstorm to get a skeleton horse into one too. Also, I made 2 iron golems at my base. One was to go in a boat, obviously. The other one wasn't special yet, but after this update, iron golems won't take as much knockback, but this one still will. In the Nether, I got a ghast into a boat, which was actually easier than the squid, believe it or not. They seem to have the utmost urge to inhale the seabed, no idea why. In some random nether fortress, I got the large magma cube, and after making a nether portal, got the spider and large slime. But since boats didn't stop mobs from despawning yet, I still had to use the nether portal method from earlier to keep them in existence. It was right after getting the ghast that I realized how broken my world had become. Still to this day have no idea how this even exists. My best bet is that the terrain was corrupted and removed before the structure was generated. Nevertheless, you can 100% expect me to come back to this in the future and do some cool stuff with it. But we've got no time to slow down. 15W44B was next. In this version, I also needed a thunderstorm, so I waited for one to arrive and waited for a skeleton trap to spawn. It was important that I didn't split the trap, so I kept my distance. To move the trap, I used a few fishing rods to hook it into the nether. Then I went through to get some wither skeleton horse riders, a pretty cool feature in my opinion. On the top of the list now was bedrock, possibly the most famous illegal item. We get this by respawning the dragon with end crystals and stopping the animation to cause a bedrock block to drop from the fountain. However, I had a dragon already, and it was an illegal feature, so I couldn't just kill it. I tried moving it at a render distance, but that didn't work. The boat was just too flimsy. I was going to have to either kill the dragon in the boat or skip getting bedrock entirely. I ultimately decided to skip bedrock, as I thought the dragon in the boat was just a cooler feature. But don't worry, it's been a while since recording that, and I do plan to go back for a couple other things that have been discovered since. Unfortunately, that won't be in this video though. After that mess, I got the armor stand with a shield. I also got water columns with soul sand and magma blocks at the bottom of them. This is because bubble columns don't exist yet, so this is later an illegal block formation. 16W32B had me cure my first villager, which had to be a nitwit, as in this version, for some odd reason, nitwits have trades, which is cool I guess. In 16W38A, I went to do some fishing, because if I fished for long enough, I would eventually get one of these, the uncraftable potion. I had to get 3 though, 1 normal, 1 splash, and 1 lingering. Although things had been going too well, so when I went into the end for the dragon's breath, the boat holding the ender dragon glitched and broke, releasing it, which is not only annoying for obvious reasons, but because I could have got bedrock as well. Anyway, I got the breath and killed the dragon, where it dropped a 3rd dragon egg. Technically my 4th if you count the one with my diamonds. But don't worry, that should be the last one. It's because the other 2 dragon kills were in the old world format. So with the uncraftable potions done, I updated to 16W39A to find the woodland mansion. Although they don't look any different right now, in the future versions all these vindicators won't have axes, as they actually can't be broken manually like pillagers, making them illegal. Lastly, I crafted some firework rockets to get rockets with no flight duration, which means in the next update, we can fly again. Not only could I fly in 16W58, it was also time to get started on one of the single most complex projects I've ever done. Well, at the point of recording anyway. I've got some crazy stuff planned for this year, so make sure you don't miss it. I'll explain more when we start building, but first we need to travel 100,000 blocks out to specific coordinates. So I grabbed some shulker boxes and some basic materials and headed out to my build site through the nether roof. Once I got there, I broke some bedrock using a dragon egg to get back onto the roof. Once into the overworld, I built yet another villager breeder and got a mending villager, creating the mending and infinity bow. I then upgraded to 1.12.2 to build a gold farm and put mending on all of my tools and armor. I AFK'd the gold farm for a few hours to get enough gold for a full beacon pyramid. The reason we're using gold is because it's the easiest mineral to get in this version in mass quantities, since the old iron farms suck. Then I marked out the area for what we are going to be building. The RNG manipulation lightning farm, used to produce enough skeleton horses to consistently drop rare illegal helmets and bows, which can have the same enchantment stacked twice, giving up to protection 6 diamond helmets and protection 8 gold ones. The reason we're building it here is because of specific mathematical value that these coordinates create with the world seed, which we can use by exploiting a bug to constantly reseed the random number generator, effectively forcing the same random event to happen every tick. This lets us call lightning to strike the same chunk and spawn horses up to 20 times per second with this method. Back to the matter at hand though. If we want to make the lightning consistent, we need to remove all the blocks in the area that can interfere with the random number generator. This includes anything that can change or update, like crops, lava, and even grass since it can spread. Now with everything gone, I gathered the remaining materials needed for the farm, and built the additional thunder trigger using more RNG manipulation, a few thousand blocks away in a separate region to force rain and thunder to start in 10 minutes every time. All that was left now was to actually run the farm. So I used the thunder trigger, flew to an AFK spot, and turned the farm on. I AFK'd this farm for weeks trying to get the elusive helmets. Unfortunately, since mob drops are dependent on your computer micro timer instead of the thing from earlier, we can't manipulate them. I really didn't want this farm to go to waste though. I got Protection 7 gold helmet 4 times in those weeks, and over 200 Protection 6s, but no Protection 8. I was getting very close to wanting to skip this, but I didn't want to throw all my hard work away. But then I did some research. Duplicate enchantments are removed in the recent versions anyway, so I didn't see a point of getting Protection 8 if it was just going to be converted back to Prot 4. So I took all my good helmets and bows I'd collected along with some bones and went back to my base, because I would actually rather play the game than just gamble for some helmets to get deleted. Now that I was back home, we enter into the 1.13 update aquatic section, which is known for being extremely buggy and hostile to worlds like mine. In fact, it's this collection of versions that require us putting so many features on unloaded chunks, just to protect them. So with that debrief, let's go into 17W47B for the Snowy True grass block. This one is really easy and just requires us to get an enderman to pick up and place a grass block with snow on it. I also got the uncraftable tipped arrows for killing strays. One of the few things we can reload in this version though is the villager with the pumpkin trade that we left ages ago, as his trade will now have carved pumpkins instead of the normal ones. This is due to an event known as the flattening, which changed a lot of IDs that many blocks had, including the pumpkin. In 18W06A, all we needed to do was fly to outer end island chunks, generating disconnected corpse plants. In 18W07A, phantoms spawned with a higher damage stat than normal, and trapping them retains the stat, making it illegal. Next on my list was to get a trident with incompatible enchants of channeling, loyalty, and riptide all at the same time. However, this proved to be difficult. My game would crash every 2 minutes while exploring, reset random chunks, and cause an insane amount of server-side lag that made the game just unplayable. It was now I also realized something arguably worse. Remember back to test build 3 when I went in the opposite direction of my main base with all the diamonds? Yeah, well, that's what I thought I did too. I had now just realized that I'd messed up. See, when leaving spawn back in test build 3, I accidentally flipped the negatives on my coordinates, which caused me to, instead of going in the opposite direction of my base, go exactly where it is and overwrite my last year of work with all the diamonds in it, and keep the half with like nothing on it. The first dragon egg? Gone. The original Infinibore? Also gone. The diamonds? Gone. Every single one. All I had now was this rubbish little base and some illegal items. Is this really worth calling 100% with this big of a mistake? All of these thoughts swirl around my head, but it almost fueled me, driving my motivation to keep going. Get out of these stupid little versions of the game and never have this happen again. So that's what I did. I travelled back to an end city and updated to 18W15A to get purple shulkers. These can also be made renewable in a shulker farm, as shulker duplication keeps the colour stat. Then I went to one of the spare no AI zombies I got earlier and drowned it in water, converting it to a no AI drowned. Then I updated to 18W43A, which is in the village and pillage update. Finally, I was done with the stupid buggy mess of 1.13. First up here was getting negative durability shears by shearing some sheep with a dispenser. Then I got a crossbow loaded with air by throwing out my only arrow when loading it. In 18W45A, patrol mobs are extremely common, which is helpful as I need a mob with the old banner on its head. In 19W07A, I used a dispenser to put some Thorns armor on a fox, which can also be used to get an otherwise impossible death message. 18W06A is one of my favourite versions, as for some reason you can get a waterlogged lit campfire by using a fire charge on a waterlogged campfire. In 19W11A, I got the Enchanted Diamond Hoe trade and the Arrow of Luck trade in 19W14B. Yeah, we can get infinite of that effect now. Before going any further, I needed to trade once with all the villagers I got from 1.4.7 to prevent them from losing their trades. Then I updated to 1.14 to get a pumpkin with curses, the multi-prot armor we've all seen a million times, wet sponge in the nether, and overstacked curse books. It was now I could also reload the unstable TNT, dual wielding and weaponless mobs as well. Now we're getting into the nether update territory, which is some of the last illegals. 20W08A is a little underwhelming. It's just a baby piglin holding a soul torch or a soul lantern. 20W11A lets us get negative durability boots by running on soul sand with soul speed, as it doesn't have the check to see if the boots should break. 20W13A has flying striders, which I just think is really funny. 20W15A is a piglin one where it's just holding a soul campfire. 20W16A generates piglins and hoglins with fast speed stats in bastions, so I loaded a few in and went to a treasure bastion as well to empty this lava rectangle and get the barrier block. For the speedrunners, we're in 1.16.1 to get another baby piglin for this time holding leather. Now we're making the jump all the way to 1.18.2 to build this, the update suppressor. And after turning my beacon into rails and getting all the random blocks I needed, I spent a few hours on stream making every block in the game that shouldn't float. Well, all except kelp, it was being annoying. This includes other blocks like fences and walls which think they're connected to blocks when they just aren't. After I was done with that, I also made a sliced nether pole. Also, the reason why this was so trivial for me is because I've done my fair share of update suppression in the past, so it wasn't too difficult, just time consuming. Now into Caves and Coasts Part 3 was 22W14A to get the recovery compass with Curse of Vanishing. The most useless item gets more useless. Woo! Then I built this modified version of Razeworks Infinite Effect Machine in 23W05A to give the cow the permanent speed effect. I named him Speed Cow. You get it? Because like he 1.20 pre-release 4 seemed to be the pumpkin update or something. Because here I got the 2 curses on jack-o'-lanterns and a jack-o'-lantern on an armor stand. In 24W18A, I was at the point where my current version was more modern than the one I originally downgraded from. Meaning I could finally go to the other half of my world and explore the few remnants left by my past self. The only really notable thing was the tunnel bore tunnel, which was cut off from the new spawn chunks. Since these were newer chunks, I easily found a trial chamber with a pie chart and grinded ominous trials until getting 2 maces. Then I got one with breach 4 and density 5 and the other one with sharpness 5. I was now only one illegal feature from completing the spin-off challenge. One of the most famous and possibly well-known illegal features is the Farlands. However, with it only generating until beta 1.7.3, it's incredibly difficult to obtain, due to also being 12.5 million blocks away from spawn. But we're going to get it. Introducing the Chronos 360 Pig Cannon, capable of charging a pig with incredible amounts of momentum, allowing us to travel to the Farlands in only 30 minutes, as opposed to the months of non-stop walking it would normally take. To build it though, we need this monstrous materialist. This machine is designed for a world with already complex infrastructure and farms that I don't have any of, so I had a bit of a harder time gathering the resources. I ended up going to the remaining half of one of my old Infinibore tunnels to get all the redstone. For the iron, I built this 8-cell iron farm to produce the 12,000 iron I needed and replace my gold beacon pyramid. I also built a cobblestone farm and a semi-automatic dark oak farm. After a few more hours of gathering random stuff, I could finally get to building. The machine works by moving the pig in lazy chunks over to the player while it's in a minecart. This keeps it in an unresponsive state, while allowing you to program it with momentum and mount it with a saddle. This can be used to literally travel millions of blocks in under half an hour, and is how I plan on getting to the file. Once I arrived, I went back to the overworld and downgraded through versions for the last time to beta 1.7.3. Here we go. There we go. Okay, we are now at 1.4.7. It's the Farlands, it's the Farlands, it's the Farlands. Look at the clouds! Whoa! We're here.
When I arrived back at spawn, all of the spawn chunks had been corrupted from the new downgrade, resulting in this mess that honestly looked more like a QR code than actual Minecraft terrain. I then walked back to my base to the pig cannon to pick up all my stuff. Since I no longer need to downgrade again, at least for the foreseeable future, I can officially start work on streamlining all operations in the world, making any task infinitely easier to achieve. The pig cannon itself was a good first step, allowing me to travel anywhere in the world whenever I want. However, traveling was not the main issue, resources were. So that was the next step, to build a fully automatic farm for every single renewable item in the game. And I don't just mean iron and wood, I mean everything. Cobblestone stairs, chiseled quartz, wooden shovels, heck, even the lava chicken disc. But this wasn't something I could get right to work on. I needed a new base of operations that could support this new industrial revolution. So I got a happy ghast and moved 2 villagers to a cobblestone platform in the sky. I built yet another village breeder and started filling up a trading hall with librarians and toolsmiths, allowing me to perfect gear sets and tools whenever I need them. The location for this platform was intentional too. I built near chords 2000 and built an outline going all the way around the world. Eventually my plan is to completely remove all the terrain down to bedrock inside this 4000 by 4000 square. And that's where we are right now. I'm getting ready to build a storage system containing every item in the game, including unstackables. But before I end the video, let me tell you 2 things. Firstly, if you got here, you clearly enjoyed the video, so a subscribe, like, hype, comment, and all that would go a long way. And more importantly, here's a little teaser of my next video, where I'm competing against other players to farm as many chickens in a year as possible. And when I say it's crazy, you have no idea. I'll see you guys later.